Okay, so we're here to have a debate about a specific aspect of the Vic Mignogna case. Specifically, does Vic Mignogna have a valid defamation claim against Jamie Marchi? And I'm here to argue that no, he does not. This is based on three different reasons. The first reason, I think the most pertinent one, would be the fact that truth is an absolute defense against defamation. And as they both have testified, their stories corroborate one another, and the material facts of the case are true. I'm going to take the time to read off of Jamie Marchi's statement on the matter, the full thing, if that's okay. Give me one quick second, please. Okay, so what Jamie Marchi originally said in her account was, several years ago, I was in the lobby at my job when I was approached by a coworker. This guy gave me the creeps already. He gave almost all the women at my job the creeps, but I always felt like I had to be nice to him anyway, because of how revered he was in the industry. As we said hello, he stood to the side of me and started running his fingers through my hair. Now, I do work in an affectionate industry. We hug a lot, on occasion, we will give a kiss on the cheek. But even for an affectionate environment, this felt off. I didn't say anything to him about it, though. It was just his fingers in my hair. I didn't think it was a big deal. At that point, he splayed his fingers, put his hand at the base of my skull, and made a fist. When he did this, he grabbed my hair close to the root, effectively preventing me from moving my head at all. He then jerked his fist, yanking my head backwards and towards him, and whispered something in my ear. I don't remember what he said specifically, but I do remember it being sexual in nature. This was not normal. This was not just a hug or a kiss on the cheek. I did not like it. I have no memory of getting out of his grasp, but I assume, what the fuck are you doing was part of my technique. She goes on to say, afterwards, I completely and utterly dismissed this experience. I dismissed the way I had been touched. I dismissed having this man grab me. I dismissed having my head jerked back. I dismissed the inappropriate comment. I dismissed this entire encounter. I never reported this event to the company. It actually didn't even occur to me that I should have. Although if it had occurred to me, I can't say I would have reported him. This guy was worshipped by his fans. He was worshipped by the studios because of his fans. He was the most popular voice actor on the convention circuit. Everyone treated him with kid gloves because he was the one and only Vic Mignogna. Who was I? A nobody in comparison. I didn't matter, and I knew it. Risking being blacklisted from my work and conventions simply wouldn't have been worth it. As I look back on this moment and discuss it with my family and friends, I can see that his actions qualify as simple assault. Would he have gone to jail had I pressed charges? I'm not sure. Why would people believe me over a man who holds Bible studies in hotel lobbies? And even if they did, would they care about the truth if that meant tarnishing the reputation of their favorite voice actor? In the last week or so, I've heard accounts from him doing this exact thing to half a dozen other women that I personally know. I am friends with these women, and we never told each other about our experiences. Some dismissed it, like me. Others felt too ashamed or scared to say anything. I struggle with the guilt I feel for having been so dismissive of his actions. Had I been able to speak up then, maybe less women would have had to experience what happened when they were unable to get out of Vic's grasp. I'm speaking up now because I didn't even think about this event until I realized other women had experienced the same thing. I thought it was just me. And at first, I didn't want to say anything because my experience was not nearly as bad as what other people have suffered at the hands of this man. I wanted their stories to be heard first because they were important ones. But in this moment, I want the others who I know are out there to hear this. It wasn't just you. It's okay if you didn't say anything, to him or anyone else. You are not responsible for what happened. You do not have to be dismissive, ashamed, or afraid. Also, I hope if anyone ever goes through a similar experience, they will know from the start that their body is not up for debate. Their body is not property of the most popular person in the room. Their body is not responsible for a company or show or an art form. Their body is most definitively not responsible for the reputation, livelihood of a predator. Now, when we take this account, in particular the story of the hair pulling the lobby, which is the one thing that Vic Mignogna is suing Marchi for when it comes to defamation, as later admitted in his deposition. We cross-examine this with Vic's story, which I will pull up in a minute. I'm going to on his deposition, page 217, line No, I'm sorry. Page 218, line 4. We can also read the parts around it afterwards, but I want to get this account here first. And let me just scroll over to there. Okay. Page 218, line 4. J. Sean Lemoyne asks, So what exactly that mix So what was it exactly that she mischaracterized or took out of context, referring to Jamie Marchi's story? Vic Mignogna answers, she mischaracterizes my memory of the event with Jamie was that I had come into record. I came in to record one day at Funimation, and I was in the lobby, and she was there, and she had changed her hair somehow. She was wearing it differently, or she had cut it somehow, probably as far away as I am from Cassie. And she said to me, "Hey, hun," and I'm like, "Oh my gosh, I love your hair." And she's like, "I know, I just got it." And I walked around the counter, and I was kind of standing there, kind of flipping it, and like, "Oh my gosh, it's really beautiful. I love it." And I put my hand up in the bottom of it, and I'm like, "Oh, this is great." It was not painful, it was not hurtful, it was not sexual, and it happened at least 4 or 5 years ago, maybe longer. Now, as you can hear from both stories, the event happened. Jamie Marchi was in the lobby. Vic did put his hand up through her hair, and he grabbed it. That is the same material facts that Jamie Marchi alleges in her account of the story. Further, she says there is some quibbling over like the specific minutia and wordplay involved. I noticed that Jamie Marchi never used the word pull, but she did say that that Vic Mignogna put his hand to the base of her skull and yanked it. Vic Mignogna describes this as putting his hand at the bottom of her hair and grabbing it, essentially. And also, you can watch in the deposition video, which I have a link to that. You can see him reenact this as well, and it pretty much matches what Jamie Marchi described.
I do have.
Go ahead.
Hold on, Wooden. I need you to do something. Go into your settings, voice and video, and use push to talk because you have a severe echo.
Go to settings.
Mm-hmm. And look for voice and video. And there should be a push to talk option. Because using your phones, it's better to do push to talk. Otherwise, everybody hears your feedback. I'm pretty sure on your phone it should bring up a symbol after you do it, and you just hold it down whenever it's your turn to talk. I didn't hear you breaking up there, buddy.
Button.
You're cutting out on me. It's not just me, is it? It's cutting out for everybody else. Okay. Shut up, Dean.
Okay, what about now?
That's a little better. You probably need to hold the phone better, a little closer to you. Guess we'll just deal with the echo.
If I may, if he can't get pushed to talk to work properly, he can mute himself when he's not talking.
What?
You can mute yourself when you're not talking. Because we can hear your echo really badly.
Okay.
But okay, it's your turn. Go ahead. You can unmute yourself. I think JMK is done.
Yeah, I made my opening statement.
Okay, cool. I did have a question about Jamie Marchi's story on her original that said she said in did put his hand on the base of her skull.
Dude, you're cutting out. I can't understand the thing you're saying.
1 second. How about now? Hear me now?
That's better.
Mm-hmm.
All right, cool. So like I said, the first question I had on the original Twitter story for Jamie, in there she stated Vic prevented her from moving her head at all. She also said, I was wondering if that was cited as well.
I read the whole statement.
Okay. All right, so I believe Vic does have a valid defamation claim against Jamie Marchi. He has one because I cited in Texas law, you have to prove 3 things for something to defamatory. What? Number 1, there has to be a published statement. There was she's statement on Twitter. And number 2, the statement has to be defamatory and concerning the plaintiff. On the Twitter story, she said he gave almost all my job to creeps. Or she said about him. In her story, she also claimed backwards her from at all. And
Hello?
hold on. So that's important because physical descriptions.
You know, you're cutting out again. Maybe you need to raise your sensitivity.
How about now?
It's good now.
Sorry, I'm trying to figure out because I have all my information on my phone. I'm using my phone to talk, so I don't know if I exit Discord if it'll cut me off the conversation. This is a little bit funny. Basically, what I've been seeing on Twitter for probably about a year, and saying Vic pulled her hair, Vic this, that, but the main statement that really stuck out to me is one that I sourced in sources as well, which is the head and balls tweet. I'm sure you all know it's I want his head, I want his balls, stuff like that, and for him to feel an ounce of pain and choke on it, stuff like that. However, I didn't cite it because I believe that tweet was defamatory, because I don't believe that tweet was defamatory, but here's the important part for the third part. Whenever I started the conversation saying 3 things. On the third thing, you have to prove malice, and this tweet does help establish malice because it shows that Jamie doesn't like Vic, but is more than willing to damage.
Can I address that?
And you may continue with your side.
Okay, so there's a few issues I'm having here. The first issue here is that I'm not seeing where the proof of where Marchi lied, which is going to be necessary for Vic to show in court. The second issue is that there's a common misconception between actual malice and malice of intent. These are two fundamentally different legal concepts. Actual malice is a term in defamation law wherein the person either knows or can be determined to probably should know that the statements that they're making are false. This is a standard used for public figures, as Vic Mignogna is. When it comes to malice of intent, this deals with criminal law. And this is a civil case, so it's not really relevant.
Inside toward.
You're cutting out.
Okay, I believe I heard the word sexual assault toward one of your sources when Jamie was talking.
When in Jamie's description, she called it simple assault, not sexual assault, just to be clear.
So simple assault. How
Yes.
would you define simple assault?
I actually posted a source to this. Texas has, there was a blog post to this. Assault can range from a great number of activities, even if you don't touch the person. Like, if you actually invade their space in an untoward or unwanted way, then that can qualify as simple assault. However, it should also be noted that Jamie didn't definitively say that, yeah, this is absolutely this assault. She said it could qualify as such, and she doesn't know whether or not in court it would hold up.
You also said that your source had said that Vic worse to.
Come again?
You said in one of your sources that Jamie had said that Vic had women.
Yes, she said that. She said that other women have experienced what Vic had done to her to others.
But in the statement of worse, means that.
I believe I can double check it, but I believe she did say worse.
Okay, so what would be worse than simple assault?
I don't know. It's not stated.
Isn't that kind of misleading, though?
Is that relevant?
I believe so, because whenever you try to mislead somebody or mislead a crowd of people, you can end up with inflammatory statements that spread wild and cause.
I agree that there may be some. I agree. Sorry, were you finished talking or?
Oh no, go right ahead.
Okay. I agree that there is a concern there, like a moral one or one towards one's reputation about misleading or inaccurate statements. But when it comes to specifically defamation law, you have to cite actual statements of fact, like some kind of vague allusion wouldn't count as defamation, at least not normally.
Okay.
Did you want to follow up on that?
I'm thinking. What about the statement of he gave almost all the my job?
Can you repeat that? You cut out.
What about the statement of he gave almost all women at
Once again, go ahead.
It was not relevant to her story whatsoever, but yet she included it because I believe that this could be an example of malice as well with her, story about it, because she included it, the line he gave almost all my job the creeps, and what was the other? There was another line about her saying creeps in there, but why include that?
She said he gave her the creeps.
And he gave almost all the women at my job. Why include that?
Well, I don't know specifically why she included it. I'm presuming that either that's how she felt or that's how she felt looking. Thank you. I believe that would either be how she felt or how she felt looking back on things. I don't believe that you can sue someone for defamation because you say someone gives you the creeps. That's a subjective opinion. You can't really put a measuring stick on that.
No, you can't really. You can whenever there's a pile up.
What do you mean by a pile up?
Well, in several of her tweets, she goes on and say, "He's a creep. This. He's a creep. That. He, pulled my hair. He did this. He did that. He." Continuing on and never stopping. It's been going on for about a year now. She's still into it. No.
Well, the issue. Sorry, did you finish?
No.
Okay.
The issue that I have that while one thing may not be the original, this is definitive proof of defamation, but it's a mass. It's huddled up, and it's a mass of just tweets. He's a creep. It's happened. In one of your statements, you said it's happened to dozens of even see of women and dozens stand where so I consider also he almost all a lie as well, because almost all women have few that have said that there's just lies and a whole bunch of her different statements pulled Twitter. If we're being honest here, I'm ill prepared for this because pulled up all tweet source creep all instances. She said he was homophobic. All the instances.
You're cutting out badly. Most people can't understand you, dude.
Sorry. Why don't you just go ahead?
All right. So let me try to reiterate your argument and tell me if I'm getting this correctly. You're saying that these statement after statement after statement constitutes defamatory activity?
Yes, because it does not stop, increases.
All right, hold on.
Equal to her cause.
There should be, in the same settings I told you before, in voice and video, there should be a sensitivity there, a sensitivity setting. Maybe you won't cut out when you're talking to your phone. It has to be raised a little higher if you're on mobile.
Hey, what about now?
And you're fine right now.
Okay, cool.
Okay.
Seems like I have to stay on this screen. If I leave this screen, then everything screws up. I'm trying to find sources for everything, but I can't see the screen.
Okay, so to repeat once again, your argument is that it wasn't just this one story; it was this story plus X amount of tweets, dozens of tweets per se.
Yeah, and tweets still continue to this day.
The problem with that argument is that when Jamie Marchi's lawyer, Mr. Johnson, I forget his first name, when he sat down with Vic at deposition, he went over many of those tweets because they had gotten a motion to dismiss letter. Vic Mignogna conceded that the tweets that he showed him were not defamatory. And by the end of it, Vic said that it was just the one tweet containing that lengthy message I read at the beginning of this conversation that was defamatory.
Well, it's not what his opinion is that's final. It's the statement has a valid March. So he does. Does he now? Maybe not so much, but does he have a valid Marchi? Yes, he does.
Okay, so to respond to that, the problem with that argument is that he's not suing for defamation on anything except that statement, though.
But the whole debate is about if Vic has a valid defamation March.
Yes, and if he had a valid defamation claim, he'd be putting it as part of his lawsuit.
Well, he does, and if he made a decision pull certain tweets that could have defamatory statements in it without recognizing it, then that's on his fault. That's on the fault of the people around him. However, if they did have it, then that means that they did exist, can be defamatory. Just because they were pulled out due to a difference in opinion from Vic doesn't mean they weren't defamatory in any way. You can still pull up the tweets and you can still see how defamatory. You can see it for yourself. You can see her saying creep. You can see her saying assaulter. You can see her saying that she's a survivor. What the fuck? Like, oh my goodness. It's
Okay, so the problem with this argument is that Vic's opinion is entirely relevant because he's the plaintiff filing the lawsuit. If Vic himself doesn't believe these things are defamatory, then they're not defamatory. Like, there's just no way to possibly bring that to test at all. And if he's not even going to contest that, then we have to take his word for it as the plaintiff.
You can bring it up as in certain context and placed in, as well as the time, dates, and everything like that. Pull up things on my phone, I'd be able to show it to you and tell you. But
I mean, if you could show me, like if you want to argue that there's a potential defamation claim that Vic could have, that would be a separate argument from the debate topic.
Well, the debate topic is Vic has a valid defamation. Marchi.
Yeah, essentially. Does he have one? Not could he have one?
Well, he does have one because of all the tweets that Jamie.
Well, no, fundamentally, that's not how this works. Like, he only has a claim if he's going to file it. Otherwise, there's no claim.
It's hurt his business and it's prevented him from going to cons.
Yeah, but, well, firstly, you're referring to tweets that I haven't seen, you haven't, like, shown beforehand, and you can't pull up. And secondly, and we're just presuming that these exist, and secondly, and more importantly, because I'm willing to, like, argue on the basis that these things might exist, but the problem is, if he has a valid, he can't have a claim valid or not if it's not filed in court.
We're not saying if he has a valid defamation claim against Jamie Marchi that has to go to court. We're just saying it's a valid Jamie Marchi.
I'm sorry, I don't understand. This is kind of a weird argument.
Well, we're saying that he has a valid Jamie Marchi. If she's out here doing all this and everything like that and saying all these things about him, and yes, can claim defamation against her, does have, like I said, 3 things.
No, I'm sorry.
There was a published statement. The statement was defamatory and concerning his malice with.
Okay, so your argument is that based on tweets that you can't show me, and that you had plenty of prep time to present in the evidence channel, that there's a valid that he could, not that he does, but he could have a valid defamation claim that he's not filing. That this is the basis for why he has a valid defamation claim, that he could potentially have one in the future.
Okay, throw that out. I'm saying he does have a valid, as Marchi's statement, her story about Vic Mignogna and incident read off does have 3 things in it. It's a published statement. It's a statement that was concerned, and it does have malice with.
Okay. Are you referring to the statement that Marchi initially released it with the 4 images that I presented in the evidence place channel?
Yes.
Okay.
Yes. I don't believe it was it's not the tweet where she said, okay, maybe it was the tweet. It's the Twitter story.
Okay. So what about Jamie Marchi's statement is valid about it as far as it being defamation?
It's a published statement,
Mm-hmm.
number 1. Number 2, the statement was defamatory. The plates. It did have.
Okay. So there's a couple problems here. Firstly, I don't believe that can be proven that that statement was what specifically damaged Vic Mignogna, because there's a whole bunch of statements being made against him. And secondly, the other problem with this argument is that you're conflating, as I tried to explain before. Maybe I didn't do a good enough job, but you're conflating actual malice with malice of intent. Actual malice refers to when you make a statement that you know is false. In other words, you knowingly lie. Or, in rare circumstances, where you probably should know this is false, but you just run with it anyway.
Well, the false statement in there was preventing me from my head at all, and he gave all the women the job, the creep. She's speaking on behalf of almost all the women her job. That's a false statement.
How do you know this to be false?
Because there's nothing to back it up upon evidence of source.
So you can't present anything to show that specific detail of the story that's otherwise corroborated with Vic Mignogna's story is false.
Vic Mignogna's deposition himself, where he says what he did, and in that story, there is no way, shape, or form of him saying he prevented her from her head at all. There's no way, shape, or form, or any indication that he job.
That's incorrect, though. Because what he specifically said, and I'll read it again, give me a moment. Sorry, give me 1 second.
No, anytime.
So, when he was specifically asked about how Jamie Marchi mischaracterized the event, Vic Mignogna goes through an explanation of what happened according to him, plus a demonstration of the event that, as you can see on video. And I'll read it again. I read it before, but I just want to make this clear. Ron Toye's attorney asks him in deposition, so what exactly that she mischaracterized or took out of context? She referring to Jamie Marchi, as the previous question shows. He responds, she mischaracterizes my memory of... sorry, let me start over again. She mischaracterizes my memory of the event with Jamie was that I had come in to record one day at Funimation, and I was in the lobby, and she was there, and she had just changed her hair somehow. She was wearing it differently, or she had cut it somehow. Probably as far away as I am from Casey. And she said, hey, hun. And I'm like, oh my gosh, I love your hair. And she's like, I know, I just got it. And I walked around the counter, and I was kind of standing there, kind of flipping it, and like, oh my gosh, it's really beautiful, and I love it. And I put my hand up in the bottom of it, and I'm like, oh, this is great. Now, it's important to emphasize that as he says this last part, he balls his hand into a fist and shakes it, which matches what Marchi was saying. Further,
say fist.
Go ahead.
It closed.
Yeah, it was closed. It's completely closed. You can see it in the video. If you want me to get technical here, which I can, the ends of his fingers are touching the palm of his hand. So there's a definite fist there.
How long was the fist for?
This is for several seconds.
How long did he make?
I didn't count exactly how long he made the fist.
I would like to.
I think offhand I could say at least 2 seconds, maybe 3. Is that relevant?
Yes, because I don't believe that's
You can watch the video yourself. I believe. Let me check the time. Give me one quick second. Let's go to. Yeah, it's from. Of the video I posted, it's from 1 hour, 1 minute, 1 second is when it begins the explanation, and he stops talk about the explanation 1 hour, 1 minute, and 54 seconds.
Yeah, I watched it, and you were right. It was about 2.
Mm-hmm.
I watched it. Describing it on, it's difficult to say, but the way to describe it, I believe, is the best. It's in a playful, like, if you are in playful, you don't prevent a friend from moving their head at all, and you don't give all the women at your job the creeps. Especially if you're.
So you're saying that in Vic's mind, he didn't do anything wrong?
No, I'm saying look at his hand, hand motions, look at how he gripped, notice how tight you look at. If the knuckles go white, third knuckle, when they're gripping. If the knuckles are not white, they're not gripping. You can test it. Okay,
I think that's kind of silly to like go into like this kind of CSI level like analyzation of like how tight was the grip, were the knuckles white, etc. That just seems silly to me.
What it's important because it's spotting out a line. So again, Jamie Marchi in her story says that prevented her from moving her head at all, completely. Right? You can't prevent somebody from moving their head at all completely if you're grabbing a couple of strands of hair. Even at full strength, you're gripping it at full strength. You cannot do that. She would still be able to move her head back, forward, up, down, and jerk it out of place and still feel pain in it.
There's a problem there.
What?
Vic specifically says he grabbed her hair at the base of the hair, not a couple strands of it.
Okay, well, even then, she'd still be able to move her head.
Well, that's the assumption.
Not really.
What do you mean, not really?
Okay, put your hand on the back of your skull.
I'm not asking about me touching my hair in this manner. I'm asking the event that happened that day.
Okay, well... How do I describe this? He said he touched her at the base of her skull, right?
She said it was the base of the skull, just to be clear.
Okay, and he said he didn't grab it, right?
No, he said he grabbed. He specifically said he put her hands in the base of her hair, and then made his hand to a fist, and then shook it, which matches Jamie Marchi's description of events.
Okay, in there, did he yank her head backward?
He didn't mention yanking her head backward. No.
Okay, that does not match the description.
Okay, sure, but it doesn't negate or contradict what she said.
Well, she said that her head back prevented her from moving her head at all and sexual. She said so that's obviously.
Vic said he may have whispered something sexual in her ear.
But he didn't.
Let me rephrase that. Wait. I said something incorrect there. He didn't say he specifically denied that it was sexual, but he said that he may have said something in her ear.
Okay, so that's another difference.
Okay, so further, since...
So it's not a corroboration.
Okay, here's the thing. It is a corroboration because nothing Vic said contradicted what Marchi relayed at all, is the problem.
But what Marchi is contradicting what Vic said.
No, neither story contradicts one another. In fact,
in one
Vic's
story, you've got Jamie having her head pulled backwards and having her head being prevented and having something sexually possible.
Yes, the two stories are different, but they don't mutually exclude each other. The only thing that's different...
But they are different.
The only thing that's contradictory is the characterization of the event. And on that note, Vic Mignogna specifically said in deposition, Jamie Marchi could have perceived the event differently than he had.
Fair enough.
So how this is relevant with defamation, and why I don't believe this is a valid claim after that deposition hearing, is that because he's conceding to all these facts about the matter, there's no way he can possibly sue her. There's no way he could prove to a courtroom that she lied, that she either knowingly lied or just lied about it, because she's just recalling the events that happened, and he admits that, yeah, she could have remembered it differently than I did.
Okay, well, what about the fact that in false physical description described and false description?
Does Vic have any means of proving? Does Vic Mignogna, the plaintiff who's suing the defendants, have any means of meeting his burden to prove that her description of the events was false?
Well, I think this debate's about done. I'll take the L on.
Okay.
All right.